Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we have the Carisma M48S. And this is a 1/8 scale 4-wheel drive rally car. This is inspired by the Subaru Impreza WRC 1997 McRae and Grist edition. This is a brushless RC, and Carisma is saying this is almost ready to run. And I'm pretty sure that's just about the batteries, why they're saying it's almost ready to run. But let's get this RC out of the box. So here we are, guys, with the M48S out of the box. Let's go over what you get with it, because it's really quick. There's not much that comes along with this. You get some decals, and it looks like they already started putting some of it on, and then it's cut off here. You get the owner's manual. It goes over how to set it up for the first run. Some 3D blowouts on the diffs. This has sealed diffs in there, so you're able to tune the diffs with the oil that you need throughout. 3D renderings of the RC, and towards the rear there are spare parts listings for the RC. Give it a read when you get a chance. And then there's a manual for the ESC. Now, I will give you guys full disclosure. I've already ripped the ESC out of this. I did not like how it performed. I just ripped it around in my house. Did not like how it performed. It's a 2S rated ESC, and we'll talk more about that later, but this is the instruction manual for the ESC that comes along with the RC. But here we are, guys, with the M48S out of the box. And I'm gonna bring out the WRH so you guys get a size comparisons with this, but you're gonna be surprised. This is bigger. This is bigger than the WR8. It's held down with 4 body pins, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. The body feels really thick, guys. I will say that it does not feel cheap, and it's backed with a silver in there. The side mirrors that are on here, these are molded bits, and the rear spoiler, this is a molded plastic. This is not Lexan. The body on a whole, its construction feels really good, guys. Just to give you guys a look, there is no areas for lights in the front or in the rear. Yeah, there's no mirrors in the side mirrors. It's just the molded bit right there. The windows and everything is painted over. There is no clear windows on this either. But other than that, it is a very nice looking body. The paint is painted evenly through. It looks really good. And I want to see how this is going to hold up on the first run. Here we are, guys. Let's go through this RC front to back. As you guys can already see, I already have a 3S pack lined up in there. And we'll talk about the ESC really quick. I'm going to do this video a little bit different than I normally do my videos. Normally, I'll talk about electronics towards the end. I'm going to talk about electronics first, and then we'll touch on everything else on this RC. First, start off with the ESC, the part that I swapped out. So this is the ESC that you get with the M48S. This is a 2S and nickel metal hydride battery capable ESC. It is not 3S capable. Comes with an XT60 plug on the end. Now, this is a 60 amp ESC with a 90 amps of burst, 8 scale. So I decided to take this out immediately. Wasn't something that I wanted as an option in this car. I knew when I ordered this RC of what I wanted to put in there, so I decided to throw something in, and I took out of my parts bin a 100 amp Spectrum ESC. I'm gonna run that on there. I tested around in my house, and I like the power that it's putting down. I'll have to see how the motor performs. The motor does not have any ratings on there, but if I had to guess, because they do say it's a 540 can motor, I'm gonna say it's about either 3,800 to 4,000 kV, which I think that should be good for this up front. If I find that it's going to be too much for that motor, or if I burn that motor up, I'm gonna simply replace it with the rest of the motors that I have in my parts bin. Now, this is capable of running at this point 3S, because the ESC can handle 3S. So I have a 3S pack in here, soft pack. It fits nicely in there. This pack that's in here now is a Power Hobby 5200 mAh 3S, I believe 75C pack. Perfect size for it. It fits the length and also the width on there. No problems whatsoever. I'm going to find a way how to mount up everything else. I just wanted to stick the system in there, see how it fits, and everything seems to mount up nicely in there. Now, as I mentioned before, I did not touch the pinion. I did not touch the spur. I simply just pulled the ESC out and put this ESC in. For the servo we're gonna have to see when I'm in a bigger space how the servo performs. There's an adjustable servo saver on this RC. I didn't see any markings or anything in the manual that specified how fast or slow that servo is. I can't tell if it's metal geared or not. No information in regards to the owner's manual did speak on that servo. What it did speak on, and we're going to talk about the drivetrain. As I said, I'm going backwards here. So as I said about what I did read about the drivetrain, pinion on this is a 12-tooth pinion with a 46-tooth spur, and it's Mod 1 gears. That I do like. I do like that. I'm a little surprised that it was. Didn't expect it. I expected maybe 32 pitch gears. Mod 1, I like that. You normally don't see that in RCs this size and this weight, but I'm glad to see that on here. Phillips hardware throughout this RC. You have dog bones in the front, dog bones in the rear. You have dog bones going from the front differential to the center differential, and then a dog bone going from the center differential to the rear differential. What's also running on this is sway bars in the front and also in the rear, and there's some minor composite bracing going in the front of the chassis, and then there's additional bracing, composite bracing going on in the rear to the chassis. There's also a tower-to-tower brace that's on here. Shock towers are all composite. For the shocks, there are 2 adjustments on the shock tower and also 2 adjustments on the suspension arms. We have oil-filled, coil-over, screw-down adjustable composite shocks, and they have a metal shock cap that's on them. For the suspension, it doesn't feel bad, guys. I think they set up these shocks pretty nice. They don't feel bad. We'll have to see on the first run. There are some minor adjustments in regards to the body on this. And I say minor, very minor. Plus with these unusual sizes that you get with these scale rally cars, it's going to be hard to find bodies outside of the Carisma system. Camber is adjustable on the front and on the rear. Looks like the links that are on here are all composite. Composite lower suspension arms on here as well. The bumper feels super firm, and the support for the bumper goes back to the front bulkhead. As for this chassis, we are looking at a G10 compound chassis, and it is a completely flat chassis from what you guys can see here. I don't see, there is 0 kick-up coming off the chassis in the front or in the rear. Most of the kick-up is going to come from these skid plates in the front or in the rear of the car. For the rear, we have a pretty huge composite diffuser, and its support goes back to the rear bulkhead. These wheels look proprietary to this RC. They're not a standard size wheel that's on here compared to the other 1/8 rally cars on the market. And these tires, Carisma is saying that these are tarmac rated tires. I still will be taking this out on my local baseball field and ripping this around, see how it performs. But they're saying that these are tarmac based tires, and they do feel really soft. There is a foam insert, but they do feel really soft. We'll see if they balloon or anything like that. I will be masking up the body to protect from that anyway. And it's so basic, I forgot to discuss the controller. And this is the controller that you get with it. It's the CTX 8000. I've only owned one other Carisma RC, and it's a 1/24th scale, so definitely have not had a chance to have this controller before. The throttle feels very smooth. Steering feels okay, but you do have your steering trim, your throttle trim, your reverse switches right here, function button, and then you get your steering dual rate down here by your thumb. Takes 4 AA's down below. This is a 2.4 gigahertz controller. But here we are with the Carisma M48, the HPI WR8 Flux. You guys can get an idea of what they look like in size. As I mentioned before, this is slightly smaller than the M48S. Even with the body on, we're looking at the WR8 being a shorter vehicle. And I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to pick that up on camera, but even the tire size between the two, the M48S has a taller tire than the WR8 Flux. Yeah, it's just a bigger vehicle, guys. If you look at the wheelbase between the two cars, I would say it's about an inch longer in wheelbase from the WR8 Flux. It's quite a bit longer vehicle. Try to match that up as best as possible on another angle for you guys, wheel nut to wheel nut, but you could kind of see this body post is preventing it from going back a little bit, but if you could kind of see that there is a bit of a difference in regards to the overall wheelbase between the two cars. If we take the width of the two cars, they're practically spot on. And that's the part that I would like to probably have seen. If this is going to be a little bit longer, maybe a little bit wider. We'll have to see how this performs out on the road. But so what would I have liked to have seen Carisma do differently on the M48S? Definitely the ESC. I would have liked to have seen this with an ESC that was 2S to 3S capable. I'd have to see how the rest of the electronics perform under load to speak on those, but that's one thing. The other thing that I would have preferred to see on this, I mean, maybe a more conventional chassis, if not metal, then plastic. I think folks are going to want to put a little bit more into this, and a G10 chassis is just not conventional out there. Outside of that, I don't really have a problem with anything else. I'd have to see how the tire compounds hold up and see how this car holds up on a whole. But what's next up for the M48S? A lot of you folks were asking for a shootout between the WR8 and the CN Racing Puma Rally 1. Well, this was the RC I was waiting before doing that, and that's what's next. So I will take each one out on tarmac and then each one out on the baseball field. Now, depending on the weather conditions, that's what's gonna hold me up, guys, and time for me getting the videos out. But I will not release any of the videos until I have filmed all three, at least for each different setting. So look for that to come next, but we're gonna leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok for the latest updates to the channel. This is Ready Set RC signing out. Thanks again, guys.